Hey, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am in Carbondale, Illinois. I initially thought that my mural season was done and finished, but then this nonprofit contacted me about doing a design that I submitted about a year and a half ago. And so you really never know whenever work is going to pop up. I really wanted to do this project, but there have been some conflicts. It's very detailed, and I also have school, and so I have very minimal time. For this project, I'm going to be using a medium called Polytab. I have never used Polytab before, and I'm very nervous but also very excited to show you all the process of the many different ways that you can make a mural. We did decide on using some Polytab because number one, I have very minimal time now that I'm in school, and number two, there are some aspects of the design that are very detailed. So this would help me a lot, it'll help the appearance a lot, and I think it's going to be a great project. For this project, something that we did differently was we projected before we primed. We wanted to make sure that we could order those lenses as soon as possible, and that was the quickest way to do that. I thought a lot about projecting for a second time, but ultimately we did our best to preserve the lines through the priming process using different colors in order to do that. Another challenge with this project was lift scheduling along with my school schedule. You'll see my assistant there in a lot of these clips because I was so swamped with school. So for priming, we didn't have the lift there yet because we were saving it for when I had a lot more time to paint. You may be thinking, wow, that is such an ugly color. Why not just prime with white? I honestly don't really know. I thought that maybe using this amalgamation of a lot of different paint colors would save time, but ultimately we did end up painting white in a lot of places to paint those light pinks, oranges, and yellows. So if I had gone back and done it differently, maybe I just would have primed white in the beginning. The one con to priming with white and then using a very vibrant color over the top is that, especially on brick, you can see all of the white in the grout lines, and it depends on what angle is what you see, and so every time that I will paint over it, you just see more and more white peeking through, and that can be very frustrating, especially for those darker colors. That was kind of prevalent, especially on this one, because on the higher up, the grout lines were much deeper. I was doing the blending for the purple and the pink and the yellow and the orange, this whole little section, and I was just like, wow, these colors are super pretty. You can kind of see these streaks on the wall. It's just so pretty. I like pink and orange. And here's the sun. This is one of my finer moments for sure. Felt pretty good about this gradient. It's a whole lot easier to make a long blend over brick. It looks a lot smoother because it already has texture, but as soon as you get it on a smooth surface, you can see all of those imperfections, versus on brick, where it looks like a gradient versus it trying to be a gradient. So that is definitely a challenge. So a smooth surface isn't always a better surface. So it's pretty hard to tell what I'm doing here, but I'm actually carving in the shadow for those glasses. I really wanted to have it more of a realistic pop, so the glasses would kind of spring up off the wall kind of at the viewer. And how I did that was each different color among the gradient is I mixed a darker version of that, and then I went in and made the individual blending.
So for a second, I think we should all appreciate my groutfit, my crowning moment of monochromatic style that I decided to portray in this specific shot. I think it says something about me. I also matched the wall, so that's fun. So I encourage you all to wear all gray one day, and then you're going to be super aware of how people around you see you. Don't do that. That's what I did. Not a good idea. I regret wearing all gray.
So yesterday was the day that we got all of the parachute cloth painted panels up on the mural, and I was super nervous for how that was gonna go, because if even one is off, they're all messed up because of all these lines for the seams, and there's 6 per each lens, and so I was really nervous how that was gonna go. Something interesting about the process is the glue application. Number one, the glue is super thick, and so you never have to worry about your paintbrush falling all the way in, because you just like put it on the top and it stays there, which is really nice. And then you have to do the bottom half of each panel and then the top half, because you gotta keep it on the wall in the exact same spot, right? So it was just really interesting to try something new, and now I have that in my repertoire.
I don't know what on earth possessed me to make my Polytab designs have all straight lines. That was a really bad idea. I don't know. It made it so hard. I don't even know how we did it all well, honestly. We had a pretty good idea on how to put it up there, but in actuality it was a 3-person job. And so I'm glad I had my 2 assistants there with me that were willing to help. And then after a pretty long day, we got all the Polytab up. So that's good. For this new medium, it was definitely an experiment, one that we couldn't risk having go wrong. It would set us back by so much. I always like to take a look around on my projects and go above the roof and see what I can see. I figured this would be a good time to talk a little bit about the mural and why I submitted it in the first place, and a little bit about Bucky. So this was originally going to be a Welcome to the City project, and so I took inspiration from Buckminster Fuller and his unique concepts on architecture. Carbondale is actually home to the original dome home that Fuller built while he lived and taught at SIU. He sought to make the world work for all of humanity, and his sustainability movement inspired inventions and books, and he continues to influence the world. I thought that this mural would be a great way for people to, for a moment, stop and see the world through Bucky's eyes.
It has been a very productive day. So we hung all of the panels needed for both of the lenses, which is a huge thing. So exciting that it went well and there weren't any huge hiccups or anything like that. It was beautiful weather, slightly windy, which was pretty annoying. It's like hanging wallpaper with the fan on. But other than that, it's just gonna be downhill from here.
The reason why I chose to paint glasses instead of some other imagery was because if you know anything about Bucky, it's that he was constantly wearing horn-rimmed glasses, and now they're iconic. Here I started painting the glasses frame, and let me just tell you, painting along a long curve is a challenge for sure, especially on an uneven surface like brick. There are many times that I had to stand back, only to realize that there was a flat spot that needed to be fixed. So something I thought that was going to be a lot trickier than it actually was doing the highlighting on the frame itself. I had an initial plan going into it. I wanted to do a blue theme, but I wasn't quite sure how I was going to accomplish that. Another challenge about it specifically was because I wanted it to pop off of that already dark background, so I had to make it a lighter blue than I thought, but ultimately it was a very, very fast trial and error process with a lot of mistakes that I had to go back and fix, and I think it turned out pretty good. Now you may be thinking, oh look, she's on the phone, she must be taking a business call or conducting an interview or something of utmost importance, but no, I'm just talking to my friends. The stars. So this took me a couple days to think about how I wanted to do it. I originally did the lighter layers of the stars first the day before, but I wasn't sure what I was thinking, and sometimes you just have to step back for a day, so that's what I did with the stars, and then I finally went in with the lighter ones, and I think it has a nice effect. Similarly, just painting the stars and having to look back and looking different up there, the moon was also a huge challenge because you're up there super, super close to the wall, and then you step back and you're like, oh goodness, that looks nothing like what I thought it looked like. Finally shading the bottom of the glasses rims as a finishing touch. Yippee!
Well, the mural is finished. I am very glad to have this in the past now, even though it was a fun process. It was very scary using the Polytab for the first time. I was really nervous how that was gonna go. Now that I have that skill and knowledge in my repertoire, you may see this pop up, maybe in the future. It is still very hard to do, so I will use it sparingly, but it is good to know for sure. But this has definitely been an interesting process, an interesting mural, and an interesting experience. Goodbye. I just wanted to give one final thank you to ArtSpace 04 for calling me up out of the blue and letting me be able to produce this design that I designed a long time ago and honestly had forgotten about. So thank you to them for letting me be able to do this. Goodbye. That is all. Oh, hey there! Have you clicked subscribe yet today? You should click that red button down below.